Hello everybody and welcome back down into the dungeon. We're going to take a look at the plants today. I want to say a big thank you to everybody who joined me in yesterday's video. Finally doing that review of the Ryobi saw. That said, let's take a look at some plants, shall we? So I was down here a little bit earlier looking at the plants and I noticed this here, and over on this one here we have another one that is pretty much exactly the same. For those of you who are unfamiliar, that is the next stage of Ladybug after that little alligator thing. And once they crawl out of the cocoon, they'll look like what everybody's used to for a ladybug. It's kind of neat to be able to watch the whole life cycle of it going on down here, especially since I know they're munching aphids every step of the way. But here we can see, you know, the plants that didn't make the cut for going outside this year. Most of these guys are just way too small. I don't honestly feel that they'd have much of a chance. And then of course there are the two intentional sufferers here. This one, paper lantern habanero, seems to be doing surprisingly well considering how tiny its container is. And pretty much the same can be said about the Aji Pennock, but I'm a little less surprised with this one because at least it's got some drainage and bottom watering and all that good stuff. It does look like the Pennock here is trying to put on some flowers though, so that will be very interesting. I don't see anything like that going on. Oh, check that. If I look really carefully, and hopefully the camera can get it as well, there do appear to be some flower starts in there. Alright, the race is on, you two. These are officially my indoor torture plants. Let's see what they can produce. Wanted to show you this too. This little flower bud comes to us from the aquaponic garden, and the Aji Pennock it's in there. And if we look above the light, I finally trimmed it. Had to happen sooner or later. But I'm very excited to see that this is now trying to put on pods. Well, we'll start with flowers. It's trying to put on flowers. But I see one here. There's another one up there. There's a few more on here, so very exciting times indeed. Somehow I've got these big fuzzy bees that have found their way down into the dungeon. This was happening last fall, so I guess I'm not too surprised that it's happening now. Very cold and kind of a, well, just crummy, nasty day outside. But I found 3 of them down here so far. Not much for them to pollinate, but who knows, maybe they'll stop and nibble on an aphid or 2 on their way. Speaking of nibblies, I'm sure these guys would love a little bit of that today. Very pleased with how well they're doing, and honestly, I enjoy having fish in the house. The aquaponic garden is almost just a giant fish filter, really. More than the fish are powering the garden's cleaning it up for the fish. And that's probably why I'm not too terribly concerned about the production from this garden. Other than, you know, novelty factor. This will always be hobby garden for me. I think they're incredibly productive, and I think there's a lot of room for aquaponic gardening, especially in crowded urban cityscape environments, because you can, you know, just pack it in there, and it is very simple to put one of these together. But I don't know, a lot of people don't seem to think there's much of a future, and it's a fad style of garden. I don't. I hope it does have a future. I'd really like to see it explored by, well, a lot more people. More universities and such that study it, the better too, I figure. Anywho, let's take a quick look at the peppers and the tomatoes that have been going outside. They're still inside today because it's, well, 4 o'clock and it never got up above 11 degrees out there. Just didn't see the point. So we'll just do a super quick check on these things today. The chard's doing well. These tomatoes are, well, it's still quite a forest, isn't it? What I'm worried about with everything going outside is the squash. These leaves are starting to look kind of questionable. But the peppers, on the other hand, so for the most part, these peppers seem to be doing really, really well. I'm super excited about the potential of this year. Got a couple of these smaller ones that have flowers on them. Found one over here. This is one of the super chilies. Got lots of flowers on them. Most of them have put on a fair bit of new growth since they've been outside. Does look like this paper lantern's going to be a loss. Not too surprised. It's one of those styrofoam cups ones. I don't know why the peppers and the styrofoam. It's just not a good combo. So, I mean, here's a pepper. Smaller cups. Still styrofoam. Very happy pepper. Crimson red. Not happy at all. But, you know, it is what it is. They'll be out of those cups soon enough. Hear the dog clickety-clack beside me on the lino here. The El Oro de Ecuador is doing incredibly well. Again, a lot of new growth that's going to be sun tolerant. We're getting a lot of burned leaves, but considering how much there is, I think that'll be just fine. Alright, so the one I'm most interested in here amongst the coffee can peppers is this Sugar Rush Cream. This thing has easily doubled in size since it's been going outside. I haven't left any of these out overnight yet, and clearly I'm still super pampering them. 11 degrees? No, too cold. They can stay inside. This Super Chili has done a great job. We can see a couple places where it looks like we might have peppers forming on here. I have lost a few leaves along the way, and I did think it would do better, but this one doesn't have a massive root system underneath it like a couple of the others do, so I think it's still coming along fairly well, and I am toying with the idea of finding a small tote instead of the coffee can for this one. The Aji Pennock as well, but we'll get to that in a second. The Crimson Red, this one doesn't really look like it's grown up that much, but I think that pepper's definitely gotten bigger, and this other little pepper here looks a little more substantial to me too, so I'm pleased with how well these all seem to be doing. I got some more stray tomatoes hiding under the chair there. And then up on the chair we have the Aji Pennock. Looks a little scraggly in here. It's lost a few leaves, but you can easily see a lot of those pepper pods here now. They're, again, doubling almost every day when they go outside. Super pleased by that. So based on, you know, a couple of things I've learned this year, I should get a better harvest this year than last, and I should definitely be able to get better harvests in the future. It's gardening. It's all a giant learning curve, isn't it? Anywho, that is, I think, where we're going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for joining me. Oh, the sand dollar. Gotta see the sand dollar. Again, we've got some sunburn, but surviving, growing. Yeah, anyway, so that is where I'm going to wrap it up for today. Super quick video, but it's not a great day out there, so yeah. Take a look at some of these individual plants a little better in the future, and I will see you guys tomorrow.